Howdy folks, it's RJ Helms here, back with more Capitalism Lab. It's been a while since I've done an episode of this. Last time, we finished up the first scenario, which was this number one fashion venture. And so I'm going to move right along and go into the second one, Real Estate Mogul. And because, based on some of the feedback I got and just the fact that it was pretty successful last time, we are going to kick up the difficulty to harder. Not all the way up to tremendously harder, but I mean, original difficulty rating is 90%. Back when I was playing Capitalism II all the time, I could do pretty well with the difficulty up in the several hundreds range, so hopefully this will work for us. I don't know how much harder makes it, but we'll see. So let's just get started. Keep the same company, and create a new game. Okay, so here we are. So let's pause this, see what our goal is. So in 100 years, okay, so we got a main goal and two sub-goals. So the first goal is, within 100 years, by 2090, have an annual revenue of $100 million, or $1 billion, an annual profit of $10 million. That's pretty easy ratio to make. And market dominance of the real estate sector, which might be tricky. And then we have two sub-goals, which is to have a revenue of $800 million, a profit of $80 million, and a return on equity of 8%. That could be interesting to try to achieve. And then finally, a $2 million market capitalization, or $2 billion market capitalization, which, with any luck, should go just fine. So the first thing I want to see is if I can start building things right away. Let's start with an apartment building to find out. So I think what we're going to want to do, actually, is look at the cities to get some information on the housing supply and demand indices. Yes. So higher means a supply is greater than demand, and vice versa. So I'm looking for negative values for places to find where I want to make a lot of money by building the real estate buildings. So in Melbourne, it's offices. In Athens, it's offices. In Harbin, it is both housing and offices, minus 100 on the office supply and demand index. So that's a great candidate. In Copenhagen, it's offices. Yes. Let's look at Harbin. It's got a pretty low wage rate. But if it is actually the case that there is there's no commercial buildings here. So let's see if I could... No, that's not what I wanted. I want to go to a commercial building, build a nice big one, as close to downtown as I can. All right, and we've got started. So one thing that's handy with this, look at the time started, is, so the rent is only $8.07 a square foot. So for this game, kind of all the way through, I'm not going to spend too much time focusing solely on real estate, because real estate's great because in the long run you can make a huge return on your investment with very little effort, but it can be a long time to get going and a lot of micromanagement to really play the real estate game. And so, I have 100 years, so I could do it, but it'll be more interesting if I diversify, making a point to keep the core business being real estate, but move on to other things as well. So the first thing here is I want to look at is I'll slow the game down a bit, is the ability to fix it to the market rent, and that just minimizes the micromanagement a bit. So this is defaulted to the market rent, and I can adjust the rent here all I want. But one thing that's kind of worth doing is to use this button, which I believe is a new feature in Capitalism Lab. I don't think we had that back in Capitalism II. And then I can say, for example, I want my rent to be exactly the market rent, or lower or higher as the case may be. And just that way I can position myself in the market at a glance without having to micromanage too much and see the results. For now, I'm going to leave it at 100%. It'll take a while before I make a profit from this, because the thing has to fill up. You can see here every month it's filling up a little bit. So I have a negative return, but it's possible to get, a high single digit, or actually into a low double digits return with commercial real estate, or real estate in general. So that could be pretty useful. So let's just go back to our cities view. I don't remember I should try to figure out my hotkeys, but I don't remember them. So that was... It's actually not up there? Cities, so it's down here, of course. On Harbin, I could also build an apartment building, so let's do that. And let's make it nice and close. Also a nice big one. Let's tuck that guy right in there and do the same thing to set it to the market rent. I'm also going to build a department store. While real estate can have a really good return on investment, it's not always it's a lot more interesting to do other things, and this will reinforce, this department store will make these two buildings I have a bit more attractive as well. I'm just going to try to scope out high quality existing products. That toy racing car looks pretty good. Silver necklace has a pretty high rating. This eyeshadow no one else is selling. Might be worth trying. And let's look at also the elegant watch. The inline skates is already pretty crowded on the market. Okay, let's see if I can beat... See, the local competitors are low quality, but also low cost. So I'm going to let that be for a moment. Here, I got to bring my price down at the very least to compete with the other person who's importing them. I don't want to get into too much of a price war, but I might end up doing that. Take it down one. Yep, that should be fine for the eyeshadow to start. Okay, now they have cut their price right down, so I've got to at least match them, I would think. So you can see this is filling up pretty nicely. It's all the way up at 30%. This is starting to fill up as well. My profit is negative, but this one's improving. And let's look at the stock market. I'm going to write off the hop. Oh, no, that was the wrong thing to do. Sorry, I wanted to buy them as myself, not as the company. Oh, well. I just want to make sure I'm positioned pretty well in the company, because to make that high market cap and return on equity, I will need to, I think, create a fair deal of new stock issues as time goes on. I just want to see while I wait where I can see my return on equity, if anywhere. It's not an attribute of me, is it? Oh, I have expertise in sports equipment. That's interesting. Okay, total return 0%. I assume that's what it's talking about. No. Oh, okay. I don't know where I can see that number, but I don't want to spend too much time on it. Okay, return on equity, there we go. All right, and I'm into profitability. Is the silver necklace bottlenecked at the sales unit? Yes, it is. So I'll put a training budget in here. Bring that price down a touch more. The elegant watch is also bottlenecked at the sales unit. So this building is profitable. This building is profitable. Great. So let's look at our cities again. All right, Copenhagen needs office buildings. So let's create some of those. Another nice big one. I don't have enough cash for that, so let's issue some stock to get this cash. If I issue stock right at my asking price, how much money do I need? $7 million should be enough. No. Oh, the land is very expensive right there. Nope. Let's issue $10 million more stock. And now get this going. I still can't afford it. Okay, and I've maxed out my ability to issue stocks for now, so let's borrow $10 million. And there we go. And I'll pin this guy at the market price. And wow, the market price there is a lot higher, but that's not necessarily going to mean I'm going to be any more successful because the building also, as we saw, was a lot more expensive. So look at the stock exchange. That diluted my earnings or my holdings a fair deal. That should be okay. But I do want to start paying dividends. Sure, at 10%. And I'm just at the end of the year. I should pay out 10% of my cash on hand. We should work just fine. Okay, so I'm up to a positive return in Harbin year over year on this one. And this one, my department store is doing quite nicely. I'll raise my prices a touch because I'm bottlenecked. Let's look at maybe opening another department store, one in Copenhagen. It'll cost about $20 million. I'll dilute my shares a bit more than I like. Borrow about $20 million for the department store here. Let's find good products to sell. Gold rings, sure. So they are slammed with demand. And chairs, why not? So I'm not sure if those gold rings were a good idea. But we'll see. Price of shoes needs to come down a little bit to be competitive. Bath lotion as well. And chairs as well. Alright, this guy's almost at profitability. Well, it is, but almost at having a positive annual return. Let's turn the speed up just a little bit. Okay, so shares are not bottlenecked. They're bottlenecked at the supply, not at my retail ability. Bath lotion is bottlenecked at supply, or at my retail unit, as are shoes. So let's put a small training budget here. This guy's doing great. It's filling up. This guy's also doing really well. See 6.4% return. That's pretty good. Oh, I didn't see what that was. This store is doing great. Okay, wonderful. Oh, so if I go to my cities view, Copenhagen, no, it does not need anything more. Harbin is good. Athens could use an office building. And about $10 million more to make that happen. Which at this point I think I should be able to do with a pretty small share dilution. Yep, and I'll pin my rent to the market price. How am I doing? Okay, so I'm down at 40% of my company. I want to watch, because since I am kind of doing the stock issuing game, because you do lose if you lose control of your company. And right now, you could take half of my company for about $150 million. I'm going to pause that. Which is a little nerve-wracking, right? Once you get into the market capitalization of billions of dollars, you're pretty secure. It would take a pretty organized push for someone to take over your company, and the AI doesn't tend to do that in my experience. But here, Infinite Resonic has about 40% the amount of that I do in the company, and they could pretty easily, if they really wanted to, snap up the rest. Okay, my supply of eyeshadow has stopped. That's not terribly surprising. Have they been replaced by anything? It doesn't seem like it. I might as well go for the inline skates. See how they work out for me. I should do okay. 6% return. Yeah, shoes. It's once again just a bottleneck in my sales unit. And this guy's return is rising. See, I've got an 8% return on my apartment building in Harbin. That's not bad at all. Yeah, you can see here, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The shares that I issued immediately got snapped up by another corporation. If you don't watch that, they can just end up owning a really big share in your company that you don't necessarily want. Okay, so let's look at my cities again. So in Melbourne, I might be able to build an office building. Kind of thing that I'd rather not take a loan at this point, so maybe I can look at a cheaper one. Or a smaller one. Say right there. And that's filling up really quickly. Okay, let's do a little quick tour. Good return, good return. Oh, already up to 9%. Those inline skates aren't terribly profitable for me, are they? No, that's fine. What's going on here? Is my quantity falling? Yes, it is. And why is that? It actually seems like the whole city's... Yeah, the supplies dropped. Right, this store is doing great. You know, I wonder, what's the actual quality of these chairs? 56. Like, it might almost be worth just getting into producing some of these things that I know are successful. I do have the specialization in sports equipment, so if I wanted to get into manufacturing, that would be the place to do it. Let's see what's in the sports equipment market and see... Oh, something else stopped. That's my supply of chairs. Oh, that's unfortunate. I was liking selling chairs. Oh, look, there's surplus supply of camera phones. That could be an interesting thing to sell. And apparently not be... Okay, no, I'm not beholden to a price agreement. That could be really interesting. Supply of bath lotion has stopped. Well, this seaport's just falling apart. Okay, let's go with the cameras. I'm bringing my price down just a touch, even though I'm trouncing them on quality. Yeah, so going in Harbin actually has been really successful. So Athens or Melbourne for a... Athens or Melbourne for a office building are a good place to go. Let's see with these shoes first. I'll go for the leather bag, sure. Oh, and what's toy raisin? This is why the seaports can get really annoying. You just don't have anything. You just stopped importing things. That's really weird. Refrigerators share. Usually seaports have 4 products, if I'm not mistaken. Anyways, as I was saying, Athens or Melbourne? It looks like Athens is the one that's doing a bit better, so let's go to Athens. I already got one here, but let's build another little one. Maybe this one. Sure, right there. Set it at the market rent. And we're already apparently a quarter of the way to our goal. Don't quite know how that's possible. That must be towards one of these goals. Now, about a quarter of the way to that one. I don't know how you could conceive of being a quarter of the way to this one. Without the real dominance, how am I doing in the real estate sector? I'm second. Okay, so if I keep pushing that, it'll be good. Our market cap is rising quite nicely. We're still doing great at making our 8% return on equity. I just find this strategy kind of interesting, that they just buy up land and build their own little village on the edge of town. Oh, Copenhagen wants another apartment building. Or sorry, another office building. Oh, it's a nice little guy. I can just tuck in awkward places. But I want to build something bigger. $42 a unit. Cool. So this is going pretty well. About 4 years into the game, or 4% of the way toward the 100 years that we have apparently for this goal. Let's do a tour of our units. 10% return, 95% full. The market rent has doubled in Harbin since I built this for office buildings, so that's really sweet. 13% return on my apartment building in Harbin. That fridge is not working. That was not a good choice. And something else stopped. So I'm going to have to get into manufacturing. Oh, no, eyeshadow's back. Okay. Let me try selling personal computers from these guys. So I have inline skate stopped. Let's try these printers. I don't know. That's being sold at a modest profit. That's being sold at a modest profit. I'm not sure about these. That means I could build computers. That's interesting. Okay, let's just keep going through these units. Yep, 9% return. Which is about $700,000 a month, which is great. All of these are bottlenecked by demand at the manufacturer. Which means I can raise prices a bit, because I don't have to be particularly well positioned on the market. This one in Athens is already making a good return after being around for, it says 2 years, but it's just barely over a year. Oh, wow, 15% return in Melbourne. That's a new guy, only owned it for a couple months, and it's already earning a steady profit. I'm looking at revenue, not profit. This is what I look at, but they're still earning good profits. Yeah. This is the real superstar, I think, in Copenhagen. $500,000 a month. But yeah, I think this is a good place to end. It's been a bit longer maybe than I would have liked to have gone on for, but we're doing pretty well. We've got, I think it's in every city. Maybe not. I don't think I have anything in Auckland. No, so maybe that's something to think of next. But we've well positioned. We're making a good profit of $30 million a year. We're growing. We're close to keeping up dominance. I think, especially over 100 years, that's going to be something that's going to have to be really vigilant. Because there are AI companies like everything that will just keep up a really constant play on the real estate market. So even though I don't think that's the only thing I'm going to do, it's important to always be sure that is expanding as opportunely as we can. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I think in the next episode, we're going to look at getting into manufacturing, possibly with sports equipment, because that's where I have the expertise, which is a good thing to use to my advantage. But we'll deal with that and make those choices and see what the supply chains look like when we get there in the next episode. So thanks so much for watching. This has been Capitalism Lab, the first episode of the second scenario, which is the real estate mogul scenario. I've been RJ Helms. Leave a comment if you have any feedback or any thoughts. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much.